Hello again, Suja. This is Jay Solomon. I have prepared for you a separate video training on entering your 2015 budget information into QuickBooks. You should now be fairly comfortable, I hope, with entering the data, but in order for that data to be compared to your budget, we do need to get the budget information into QuickBooks. Now, previously, actually I think it was at the end of 2014, you submitted this budget, which is the preliminary 2015 budget by crop. So here we have the preliminary 2015 pearl millet, the wheat, and if we go over a little bit in the Excel spreadsheet, rice. Now, this budget was the preliminary. Wolf, I know, made changes. I presume that he gave you those changes and that you have a more updated budget than I have available to me. But for purposes of this training, I'm going to use information that's shown in your preliminary budget. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to open QuickBooks, and here you are at your home screen. Entering the budget information is really not very complicated at all. It is going to be a bit time consuming, but I think that you should have no difficulty once you go through this training with me. In order to enter the budget, the first thing we have to do is bring our cursor up to where it says Company. When we click on Company, we come down to Planning and Budgets, or Planning and Budgeting, and we go across to Set Up Budgets. Click on it, and now it is going to it thinks that you're going to be looking for the 2016 budget because you usually prepare a budget for the following year, but we're actually going to click the down arrow and go back to 2015. We're going to create a budget for the profit and loss, and we're going to click Next. Here we're going to select class because, as you recall, you have 3 different crops and we have budgets for each of them. In addition to a general budget. So we're going to click Prepare the Budget by Class. Just click the radio button. Click Next, and we're going to prepare this budget from scratch. Click Finish, and here we are. Now, you'll notice, and I'm going to maximize this screen so that we can see the full screen. You'll see that we have the current class is set at General. Well, we want to set up the budget for pearl millet. You can, of course, select in the budget for rice or select the budget for wheat. If you don't have classes set up in your system, as I actually had shown you in the previous video training, you can always click Add New, and you can put in the name of the class that you want to enter. But let's start with pearl millet. I printed out some of the information from that, and you have in the other thing that we want to do is we want to show this budget for each of the on a quarterly basis. So in order to do that, the easiest way to do that is to include the budget information for the in the 3rd month. So the end of the 1st quarter, of course, is March, the end of March 2015. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that we can read the names of the budget of the of your elements here. And you'll notice the very first one is radio. That's what you had in your budget. So I'm going to come over to March, and I'm going to enter the number that you had in your preliminary budget, which is $12,500. That's the end of March. the end of June is the next quarter, and I'm going to enter the same number which you had, $12,500. So the next one is the end of September, $500, and December, $12,500. Now, when I click out of that box, we have a total of $50,000, and that, if we went back to the Excel budget and we saw here is your account for the first quarter, $12,500 in each quarter with a total of $50,000. Now for for wheat, we had $22,250 of radio advertising budgeted in each one of the quarters. So if I go back here, I can now go. Now, there's two ways of doing this. I mean, my preference would be for you to go all the way through all of the budget line items, and you can do it by quarter. I can simply hit the down arrow key, because the next item you had was the loudspeaker program, which is right here. And you could enter it by just going down the quarter line, or you could go across the page. I tend to prefer entering it in this manner. So the next budget item is $2,500. Then I would hit tab 3 times. I'd enter 2,500 again. 1, 2, 3. 2,500. 1, 2, 3. 2,500. And then I would hit the down arrow key, bring my cursor back to the next entry item, which in this case was pamphlets and brochures. Here you had $500, tab over 3 times, $500, tab over 3 times, $500. The next item you had was POP materials. Now you could see this is, it's going to be, I don't want to do a complete entry. I'm just trying to show you how this is done. When you finish doing pearl millet, you could then come down to your next item, which in this case for me is wheat. Do you want to record your budget? Yes, absolutely I do. And you'll see that you now have a clean slate, and you would do the same thing here. So for wheat, you had radio advertising in, we'll start with March, of $22,500, tab over 1, 2, 3, 22,500, 1, 2, 3, 22,500, 1, 2, 3, 22,500. And you would come down to the next one, which is the loudspeaker program. And of course you would continue going through all of these entries. I'm going to click Save here, and I'm going to close the budget. When you've completed entering all of that data, you can then go over to Reports, and if you come down to Budgets and Forecasts, you can look at a budget overview. We want to look at the budget overview, profit and loss by account and class. I click Next. It's asking me, how do I want to look at that budget? I can look at it by month. I can look at it by class, which we want to do, and I'll click Next and Finish. So the columns now have general, pearl millet, rice, and wheat. This is showing it as a January through April, but I'm going to show this actually as January through the end of March. Click anywhere in here, and you can see here's the information I entered. You can double check by quarter to make sure that it is in agreement. We only entered the 2, pearl millet and wheat. You would have rice as well. And you would be able to compare what the budget numbers are showing with what the actual budget numbers that you have. There are other ways, of course, that you can enter the same data. I can close this up. I don't want to save this as a memorized report, but I can also look at my budget and forecast information, budget in the report area. This time I'm going to look at it, the profit and loss by accountant class, and I'm going to look at this one by month. I'm going to click Finish. I want to only look at this I want to look at this by, instead of by month, I want to look at this by quarter. And I'm going to move up into here and select the end of March as my first quarter. And there you now have, this is showing the total for the combined company. I can also customize the report. And if I go into filters, and instead of looking at it, I can filter it by class. Instead of saying all classes, I can, as an example, come down here, select Pearl Millet, click OK, and now I'm looking at just that. You don't have this on, doesn't show the heading, but you'll know that you're just looking at the Pearl Millet budget. Very powerful tools. I know that this is a pretty quick overview, but the whole point of this again is to get you to enter the data. So once again, you're going to go to Company, you're planning and budgeting, you're going to set up your budgets, and since you've already begun setting it up, it takes you to where you last left off. You'll just enter all of the data in for each of the classes. Rice would be the next one that you would do. I don't believe you have any general budget or general class areas to enter. So that is it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will look forward to hearing back from you and seeing if you are moving forward with this or you need some additional assistance. Thank you much for watching this, Suja, and best of luck and have a great day. Bye now.